risk your job, everything you work for. I don't want you getting tangled up in this. I don't know if I'll follow the rules.
You know you can't get rid of me that easily.
Come on, seriously.
If the roles were reversed, would you risk it for me?
This is off the record. That means you don't talk about it.
You think he's really gonna show?
He'll show.
Yeah, hello everybody and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. Please welcome an actor and producer who's known for The Box, Once Is Enough, and The Divorce. You can also see him in the Season 1 crime series, faith-based crime series, Vindication on PureFlix, Episode 6 to be exact. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very talented, finally, to the show, Jeff Fenter. Hello, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, man. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. Jeff, thanks for being on the show. And if you guys were listening earlier, that wasn't Jeff's fault. It was me again. So Jeff's cool. Don't bother Jeff. Jeff, man, I'm so glad that you made it on the show successfully. And the one thing I want to know about is this pandemic situation. How are you navigating through this as an actor?
Well, you can first tell that it aged me probably in the past year. My kids told me I should play Santa Claus one of these days. And so I figured this past year, why not just keep the beard growing, since I kind of started in Vindication anyway. So I just kept it growing, and now I'll start playing Santa Claus. No, the pandemic's it's been hard in the sense of just, for everybody else, it's shut everything down, even the film industry. I think I just started the past week or two having some auditions again. Okay. It allowed me to kind of do my own thing, write my own stuff, kind of work on some stuff that I had in the past that I kept putting on the shelf and not wanting to touch, or busy with something else with that, or film, or the kids. And so I guess this past year kind of gave me a chance to sit down and kind of start working on that stuff that I've had on the top of the bookshelf for a while.
Well, I'm glad that you're healthy, not affected by this COVID-19 stuff. It's been really crazy for a lot of people, I tell you.
It has.
Yeah, man, it's been bad news for a lot of people. However, my wife did inform me of great news recently. Jeff, you're not going to believe it. She said, honey, boo, honey lamb, and my guy, we have enough money for the rest of our lives. Yeah. Yeah, we just have to die tonight.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
And then we'll be fine. Yeah. By midnight, in fact, Jeff, we got to be out of here.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Now, but it's not that it's not that bad, Jeff. But I'm glad you're healthy. My family's healthy. Everybody's doing well. So I thank God for that. But dude, you are a part of. You've done a lot of good acting, but Vindication, you are a part of, and that is one of the hottest faith-based shows going right now in Christendom. There's Vindication, and then there's The Chosen. I think those are the two hottest faith-based projects that are going right
Definitely
now. And Vindication is about to start out with Season 2, but you were a part of Season 1, Episode 6. And before I even ask you this next question, did you ever get a sense as they were developing the first season that it would turn out to be as popular as it is?
Yeah, honestly, just because the writing is just so amazing. It's really easy to follow. It's really easy to to listen to. I was trying to think of the right word, but it's the point that you knew when you were coming in there was something special about this, because there's not a whole lot of faith-based type shows out there, and the ones that are out there sometimes don't do too well, and you just kind of had a feeling that there was something going on with this. Jared O'Flaherty, the director, he just, to me, had a hit. I mean, it was, as soon as I read this script before I even auditioned, I knew they had something. The writing was really good. It made you, it made you want to follow through to the end. You didn't start getting bored or it was too cheesy. It was, exactly. It's one of your, I mean, I think if it's along the line, even though it's faith-based, it's along the line of the NCISs and, all those type of shows. I mean, it's got it working.
Absolutely. And I say that all the time, Jeff. And, it's exactly like a Blue Bloods or an NCIS or Law and Order or what have you. I mean, when you're watching it, if you are a secular viewer, you're going to watch that show. I was talking to Jared recently, and I was wondering. Of course, he doesn't know this. I don't know this, but I told him. I said, "Dude, this show could be on a secular platform with
Definitely
no problem."
Oh, no, not at all. I totally agree with you. It's, the crew that's on this show, you and the other people, the producer, the writers, the actors, all the way down to the stand-ins, to the people bringing in food for us. I mean, everybody knows what they're doing. Very professional. This is, and I have to say, I've been on some big movies before. I've been on big TV shows before, but this is by far, when I told Jared when I left that I couldn't thank him enough for allowing me to do it, because it was a very professional set. It's a very professional show, just all around.
And Jared is a very humble guy, and thank God for his humility, because it's going to take him a long way. But and by the way, you are a tremendous actor, and we're going to get into some questions about your episode that you were part of. You're a tremendous actor, Jeff, but I think Jared has created something in Christendom that can be a template for faith-based films and on down the line to kind of go by in producing something that's believable enough that anybody would want to watch. And that's nothing against some of the top, faith-based films. That's
I hear what you're saying.
I think people kind of go up to them and they're like, I don't think so. And they don't even give it a chance. You got to give this thing a chance, and a lot of people don't. But I think the way that Jared presents Vindication, it's just like in your face. You don't have time to go, I don't think so. It's like you're in.
Yeah, and I like the fact that he doesn't hit you over the head with, because some of the faith-based shows you see, and I just want to throw it out there, they have a tendency to want to beat you over the head with the faith and everything that goes along with that. But I enjoy the fact that you can watch this show and it doesn't matter where you're coming from, who you are, what you do, what you believe. I mean, you can watch this show and enjoy it from the very time it starts until it ends. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah. No, you don't. Hey, Venus, how are you? Venus Monique from Vindication. Giving you a big shout out. And then, of course, Steve Mokate. Yeah, look, he is a great actor, Steve.
Oh, Steve's awesome. I love Steve.
We're definitely going to get into some questions about your. I had Amanda Erickson on the show about I think it was about 3 weeks ago. Amanda was on the show, and she just talked about how much of a professional you were in that episode. How you really made her feel very calm and comfortable doing the scene that you guys did together. And it was a powerful scene. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Amanda, I really enjoyed working with Amanda from the first time, because this is the first time we'd ever worked together, first time I'd ever met her. She's very believable, just very calm actress. I felt like when we sat there, it's just as soon as they said action, it was the two of us. It was almost like the camera and the crew wasn't there. It was just me and her. And a lot of times you'll do shows or sets like this, and it's not the case. Something you can your attention span's kind of going, what's going on over here to my right side. But just the look she gave me, the way she would say things to me. She would listen. It was just, it was a very give and take performance. I mean, I tell people, I couldn't have had that performance without her. I mean, she was awesome. I told Jared a couple of times what a great cast that was. Amanda was awesome.
And just to give fans a heads up, this particular episode dealt with human trafficking and forced prostitution, really. And it was a very, very tough subject. Getting back to how Jared presents hard subject matter that a lot of faith-based, programming doesn't really want to get into.
Stays away from.
Yeah, it kind of shies away from, but he goes right into it, and it was handled so well. What was it like just dealing with such a sensitive and difficult subject?
Wow. It a lot of character work on my own. A lot of me as an actor, I'm really big on doing my own prep, my own work on my side, making sure that I just make sure I have all the tools, do a lot of Google and Wikipedia and all that sort of stuff, just trying to get other sort of stories out there that I can relate this character to. Sure. And the subject matter, I mean, this day and age is live and real. I mean, it's out there. I mean, we hear about it all the time, and the way that he had it set up, I mean, for those that haven't seen the episode, the way that he has it set up, you just, from the time the show starts until about midway through the show, you don't really know what my character's doing or what's going on. And it was pretty amazing. I mean, it was just a really good experience working with Jared and figuring out that character.
Yeah, it was a very difficult subject matter to dive into, which you handled with great skill. There's no question about that. Skeeta Jenkins says your scene was so loving, especially when all the ladies came to the station. We're going to get to it. Yeah, I got that.
Thanks,
question
Skeeta.
Coming up, Skeeta. You beat me to the punch, but that's a great scene. Skeeta Jenkins was
another good actor.
8 of Vindication, but that we're gonna hold on, Skeet. I'm going there in just a second. But as you talk about the subject matter and being so difficult, as I asked you about it, it's like it's a real thing. You alluded to this a moment ago. It's a real thing. I mean, it's happening right here in our own backyard in America. Women are being abducted and being made into sex slaves. That's happening right here in our own backyard.
It's the truth.
And
yes.
It's something that I think that Christendom has to attack. I mean, Jared attacks a lot of tough subjects. This being one of them, this is a real problem.
Yeah, it was honestly, I didn't realize how much of a problem it was until I started doing my research and work on it. And then, as you sit there and do the research and read over the script and really start thinking about the character, I mean, it's, you starts breaking your heart. I mean, I start thinking, what if I got 3 kids and I couldn't imagine one of my daughters being involved in this, or all of a sudden got abducted and this is where she ends up. I mean, it's out there, it's real. And, the Jared bringing this to the forefront and letting people know what's going on and that we do have a problem. And, it's great. I mean, it's just great how he brings stuff up.
It really is. Jeff, are you able to hear me pretty clearly? I don't know if my mic is loud enough or not.
No, I'm hearing you. You're good.
Okay. So anyway, that being said, dealing with a tough subject, Amanda, as I said, spoke very highly of you. Creator Jared O'Flaherty has that just certain kind of ability to just tackle this kind of thing, as we've both stated. What was it like working with Jared?
I'd never met Jared before until I auditioned for this. So once I got on set, before I even got on set, the one thing I really liked about Jared was that of his prep work, because I'm big about prep work, and Jared seemed to have been too, because I remembered, me, him, Todd Terry, we had and I want to say Amanda, but I can't remember if Amanda was on the first few of the kind of Zoom type rehearsals where we would just get on, read the script. He wasn't looking for anything major at the time. He just wanted to hear us read the script, kind of give us some ideas, throw out some stuff that he was thinking. And the great thing that I loved about Jared, that I put him on the pedestal with only one or two other people that I've worked with, is that he allows you to bring stuff to the table. I mean, he's got his ways of doing things. He has an idea of how he wants it, but he's real generous. He's real forthcoming of allowing you to give and say, hey, Jared, I think that was cool, but I kind of got an idea here. Or, hey, that was good, but is there any way we can try it this way? And he's really good about letting you come in and listening to the actor, because there's a lot of directors out there that have it the way they want it, and it doesn't give you much leeway. But he's just a really easy, flexible, listening type director.
Yes. Now I wanna jump now to the scene that Skeeta was talking about, which is let me tell you something, Jeff, and I think that scene. There's probably 4 or 5 episodes that choke me up. That's one of them. And dude, when you come out and greet the girls, your look, Jeff, the light that comes from your eyes is so genuine, dude.
The master electrician made me look really good.
Genuine and real, and I just loved it. And I mean, I got choked up when you came out and you were greeting the girls with that light, and then just how appreciative the girl, dude. I love that scene, man. I could go on and on about it, but I'll tell you, what was it like on set? It had to have been an emotional moment on set. What was it like filming that scene?
Well, it's been a year or two since we filmed that scene. So if I remember correctly, I was real big about not wanting to talk much to the girls. I didn't want to see much of the girls. And I think Jared and I may have talked a little bit about that. I don't remember. It's been a while, like I said, but I just remember that day. I didn't want to see a lot of the girls because I didn't want to start getting my own, images of them in my head. So when I come around the corner, I wanted to be surprised. I wanted to be like, this was the first time I had seen them, because the way the character was being played, I had been doing this for years. And so I didn't want to be preconceived. So, and I remember that day too, as I go walking around that corner, I didn't know how many girls were going to be there. And I didn't know how many he had planned on putting down the hallway. And I think that's what hit me, as well as I remember there was a girl that I picked out going down that hallway that I tried to picture my 9-year-old daughter possibly being. I mean, I really tried to picture her in there doing that as well, so that way I could just kind of get there, because a lot of those emotions is where you get is from your family and from things around you. So I'd say it was hard. It was hard just all of a sudden coming around that corner, seeing all those girls and just not knowing what was going to happen and just playing it as it went along.
It was so well done. Jared says he had to apologize to you a number of times for the handcuff and arrest acrobatics at the playground.
I remember that. Yeah. Hey, Jared. No, I totally remember that, because, I think every time we started going around that corner, the handcuffs started getting a little bit tighter. But, you're so into the moment there. You're so into focusing on those girls. I think we did maybe 3 or 4 takes that by the third time, I wasn't even paying attention to my wrists. I was just focused on what I was doing in the scene.
Yeah, and I mean, you just nailed it. I think the way that the filming was done, the music, the background music of Vindication.
Everything.
Man, it is amazing. I mean,
Totally.
The writing is top notch. The soundtrack is top notch, and then the acting is top notch. And
and the crew and the set. Yeah, all those guys, the AD, the assistant director, the crew was so amazing. They were very gracious to work with. They just, anything you needed, they were there. The lights, I mean, I just remember the lighting and that the set that we had that day, just looking like a police station. It was just, I mean, like I said, everybody was top notch. Everybody was on their A game that day with me.
Everybody was on. It had to be. It was really cool. I remember Jeff being high maintenance and asking for knee pads. Or the
Venus, it's been a while.
That's funny. I love it. But no, Jeff, I just think that everything comes together. Everything comes together. Now that season 2 is coming up here pretty soon. I can't wait for the announcement for that. But that show, like I said, there's Vindication and then there's The Chosen. 2 shows that are just killing it in Christendom. Killing it. And I told Jarrett the other day, I said, what's going to happen? Because, it's kind of one of those deals, Jeff, out of sight, out of mind. People forget, depending on how voracious of a fan you may have been of a particular show, in this case, Vindication, I being one of those people. But if you don't see it, you kind of tend to, just don't remember a lot of things. So Chosen has, gotten this, stratospheric climb. But when Vindication Season 2 starts, it's going to get the same rise as The Chosen.
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, just watching the promo that you put on at the top here, I mean, was already seeing some I think we've seen some stuff on Facebook as well right now that I can't wait to watch the second season. It's the first season was amazing. No telling what Jared and the rest of the crew and cast are going to be doing in the second season. I did tell Jared, though, if he's still listening, that we could recreate this role. I could come back somewhere down the line, maybe in season 3 or something.
Man, well, see, as you mentioned season 3, dude, I'm telling you right now, I don't think there's any doubt, in my personal opinion, I don't think there's any doubt that there's going to be a season 3. I don't think there's any question about it. And again, I'm just throwing out my personal opinion, and I also think that it's going to end up on a secular platform. I think someone is going to pick
totally agree.
that show up.
Jared's worked very hard along with everybody else. I do too. And Jared and the rest of the cast and crew and producers and stuff have worked very hard on this show. So I would be shocked and surprised if it wasn't.
Jeff, let me ask you something. You've had a lot of acting experience in stage as well. What do you find more challenging, stage or film?
I've had people ask me that before, and challenging is more, I don't know if it's the right word, it's different. With film, it's very it's very close. The camera's right in your face. And then with stage, it's, you got to project to row Z all the way back in the back. So, it's just, I did theater and stage as a kid, all through middle school, high school, and into college. And then all of a sudden I started doing a little bit of film work here and there. And I realized for a few years that I had to either do stage or I had to do film, because when I tried to do film during the day and stage at nights and the weekends, it wasn't working out because it was confusing me. And so I'd go into a film audition and I'd still be talking really loud. And they're like, "Oh, dude, this is not stage." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. Okay, hold on just a minute. Let me get into my film mode." Or, "Hey, okay, now I'm on stage. Now I got to remember I got to project out loud." So it's not that it's different. It's just I'll always have a love for stage. That's where I came from. I direct as well on the side with shows and stuff around the Dallas-Fort Worth area when I'm asked. So I still love stage. I've just kind of fallen in love with film. And I think the thing that I enjoy about film too, it's just a shorter. It can be a shorter process with kids. Got a 2, a 9, a 12, and a 20-year-old that it's hard to be doing rehearsals nights and weekends for 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah. I think, Jeff, you and I are relatively around about the same age, more or less. I've got 24, 22. And 19-year-olds, and I had this crazy idea about 3 years ago. Thank goodness it passed. But I wanted to have a baby. I said, "Babe, we got to have another one," and we're in our 50s and everything. And
that was me 2 years ago.
Some friends talk. Okay. So I had some friends talk me out of it, and my wife was kind of open to it, but she thought I was kind of nuts. I don't know, just something came over me. But long story short, you have young ones. It's a pretty cool thing to have some young ones, once you start getting a little older.
Well, I tell people, another reason I like to stay home as much as possible, because right now they, my 2, my 9, and my 12, they're still at the house, think I'm somewhat cool, because here in a few years they're going to think you're a dumb bunny. So
Yep. That's pretty much the deal. So you were doing live stage and everything. It's a different deal when you're doing a feature film. I had the opportunity to do this film right here in 2016 with Jen Gottson Chandler.
yeah,
Directed and directed by Anthony Hackett, and it was my first film that I'd ever been in, and I had a scene with a lot of verbiage, and I came in there thinking, Jeff, this can't be too difficult, because I'm a stand-up comic, so I'm doing live stuff all the time. But man, it was a huge challenge, because we had to do the scene 10, 13 times for different reasons, and I just felt a lot of pressure. What is it like doing stage live or just doing the feature? Your nerves. How do your nerves affect you, and how do you deal with them?
The thing about stages is that, once that curtain's opened, you better be ready to go, because there's no, all of a sudden, there's no director coming on stage to hit stop, let's retake that.
Exactly.
So my adrenaline gets running probably more for stage, just for the fact is if something happens on stage, there's nobody coming to say stop or cut. You just have to keep barreling through it. So, my adrenaline's always been going for stage. And I think that's one of these, I enjoy stage. I'm not a stand-up. I've never done stand-up comedy, but I've always enjoyed, doing comedy shows and improv, to where you kind of got to think fast on your feet. So you don't have time to sit there and think, or all of a sudden try to figure out, what's my next move? You just got to go. And then film, on the other hand, I enjoy, because it gets more personal. It's more internal rather than external on a lot of stuff and a lot of scenes. And I enjoy the tightness, the moments. It seems like you get a chance to, if you don't get it right the first time, you got 3, 4, 5, 6 other chances. If it's a really nice, intimate, long scene, or a comedy scene, whichever it is, it gives you a chance to really get to the point where you nail it to where everybody likes it and everybody's okay with what happened.
Yeah. Now, you've been acting for quite some time. You've got a lot of experience on stage, and it definitely shows in your work. What is the biggest thing, Jeff, that you have learned over the years? Because in this business, there's a lot of ups and downs, failed auditions, and, it's just up one time and from one point of your career, and then all of a sudden there's a lull and this, that, and then what's the biggest thing that you've learned about acting over the years that's made you a better actor?
Few things. I think the main thing I learned years ago from a few of my my acting teachers was, keeping it real. Whether it's being on stage or you're in a film, it's all about keeping it real. And if it's not real, if it's not believable, then it's, it can be funny as can be, but if it's not believable, it doesn't matter how funny it is, or if it doesn't matter if it's a drama scene, it doesn't matter if you're not believable, it's not going to come across believable. You have to be totally 100% into what you're doing. The other thing I tell people, I tell actors that are coming up, this business is tough. It's hard. I'm a part-time business, I would say, person as an actor. I don't live in LA and I don't live in New York. I live in Dallas, Texas. So I also have to have a job too. And I got a family to support that, you just have to, you can't sit around and wait for the next acting gig. You gotta be ready to go. A lot of people I hear when I teach, and when I will go in and talk to middle school and high schoolers that are interested in acting, I said, there's 10% of this business is the famous people, the Brad Pitts, the Leonardo DiCaprios, Meryl Streeps. That's 10% of this business. People, there are 80% of business over here that I told myself a long, long time ago, I don't care if I'm ever famous. I just want to be a working actor. That's all I care about. As long as I'm working, that's all that matters.
Well, I love it. That you're what you call in sports a gym rat. You're a purist. You're about the quote unquote game. You're about acting. That's just what you want to do. And you're right, dude. You look at, Denzel Washington and the Tom Hanks and the Tom Cruises and, like you said, the Brad Pitts of the world and so forth. Heck, man, they rang the bell. It's and people come into this with the idea that they're going to blow up like those guys, Samuel L. Jackson. You know, I can go on and on, but, you know, it doesn't happen like that. It really doesn't happen that often. It's about being I think, in the right place at the right time, knowing the right people. I don't know, looking like somebody. I don't know what it is. And don't get me wrong, all those guys are awesome.
Sure.
But you know what? There are a bunch of that other 80% you're talking about, every bit as good.
Oh, sure. I got so many friends right now that live in LA and New York that live in the Dallas Fort Worth area that I would put a lot of them up against any of the famous people. I mean, they're good. They're great. It's just like you just said, it's being at the right place at the right time and hitting on that one film where somebody saw it that they're going, hey man, I can make you a star. Next thing you know, they go on to the next one. It's all about timing in this business. You just got to be there at the right place, right time. And it may not ever happen, but as long as I tell people, as long as I'm a working actor, as long as I get the chance to go on stage or film a few times a year and do what I love, then, and somebody wants to, would want to throw me a little money and pay me for it, well, then I can't complain.
You know, Jeff, you're one of those actors. You put me in the mind of a guy like Matthew Jason Swern, who was a part of episode 5 of The Chosen, and I saw his role. I'm watching The Chosen, and I see about Swern there, and I'm like, who's? And he's got one of those faces. Like, I've seen this guy before, but I could not, figure out where I'd seen him. But he was so freaking good. I was like, this guy, I don't know what it was. And everybody a part of the shows is really good. But that was the feeling I had about you in episode 6. I was like, I've seen this guy somewhere. I couldn't, figure out where I've seen you. But I know I've seen you. And you were so freaking good.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I just think that there are so many actors out there, the world, hasn't seen yet, and for whatever reason, they haven't gotten that breakthrough. But I think you're good enough. You're one of those guys that's like right there on the cusp of
thank you.
Like getting a splash, like, oh my gosh, Jeff Fenter.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. You've done some really good stuff. Now, and now in saying all of that, Jeff, have you ever had a crossroads experience because this business is so up and down and unpredictable and so forth and so on, being in the right place at the right time? Have you ever had a crossroads experience where you were like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this?
If I said I didn't, I'd be lying. So yeah, I probably have a crossroad experience just about after every other audition I have. Cause when you don't get a call back or you don't book it, then all of a sudden you're going, man, am I getting too old for this? Cause we're talking about age a little while ago. I turned 50 this year or so. You're getting too old for this. Maybe my brain's, I always think, hey, I'm getting a little older. I can't memorize as fast as I used to. I mean, so it's, you think about those things. I mean, but I've been doing this since I was about 12 or 13 years old. And I've told my wife so many times over the years, I can't see myself doing anything else. This is, not only a hobby on the side for me, but it's a passion that I have. And man, it's tough. I mean, you don't get an audition. It's a kick and it's a hit in the gut. It doesn't make you feel. It makes you feel bad. My wife has to come down and calm me down for a few days because I say, "Oh, this isn't for me. I'm done. This is the stupidest thing I've ever done. I'm never doing this again." And then all of a sudden, your agent calls, "Hey, you got an audition tomorrow." I'm like, "All right, let's go. Let's do it again." And so all of a sudden, you start it all over again.
Well, I love that answer, and I love asking that question because it's such a tough world to exist in, because you get a lot of rejections. You go long periods of time without getting a shot from your talent agency, and then you want to blame them. It's like, yo, why aren't you guys getting the better stuff? And it's never their fault. I mean, it's just part of the business, and it can be frustrating enough for you to just want to just quit. I don't need this. But at the end of the day, your love for this keeps you right there.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It's a passion. It's like somebody that wants to be a basketball player when they get older, or somebody that wants to be a policeman or a dancer. I mean, whatever. Everybody's got their own thing, and then this is my passion and love. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing anything else of what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to keep hopefully on that wave as long as possible. But one of these days when I'm not doing it, and and I tell people there's other things to do in this business besides being in front of the camera, because I enjoy directing, I enjoy producing, I enjoy directing stage, I enjoy helping on crews and sets whenever I can. I mean, I just enjoy being a part of it. So if being in front of the camera happens, that's awesome. If not, then directing, writing. I've got a few projects of my own that I've been working on. So it's you just got to keep doing something on your own and then just keep moving.
Yes, absolutely. And looking at the crew of Vindication, I mean, what Jared has assembled, a heck of a cast. I mean, getting Todd Terry is huge. Getting Venus Monique and Steve Mokake, they're basically, and oh my gosh, Jessica Schott. I hope I don't have her name incorrect. She's really good.
The wife of Todd Terry's character.
Todd Terry. But anyway, awesome. It's just an awesome. You mentioned it earlier. I mean, it's such an awesome cast. Jared was able to assemble for this. And it seems like it was one of those deals where everybody was in the right place at the right time. Like everything is like kind of converged at the right time. I'm telling you, this show is going to be pretty darn awesome. But as I say that, you've been a part of some other things, and one of which is The Box that you did. I think it's a short film where you play the lead as the husband and father. Could you tell us a little bit about that film?
Yeah, my wife had written a short story. My gosh, I was about 50 pounds heavier and no beard, so it's been a while. But she'd written a short story just about this this guy that had come home, then that had this box, and through the short story, you really wasn't sure what was going on with the box, and so. We started looking at the short story. Her and I started talking, and I said, "Well, why can't we make this into to a little short film?" And it was one of those weekend things where we could just get together real quickly. We didn't have to have a big crew, a big set. It was something where we could just get a few peeps, friends, associates together, and just knock it out in one weekend. And it was really emotional for the fact that. You just didn't know what was going, trying to figure out what was going on with the box, because you really didn't know until the end of the short film that basically there were ashes in that box, to where almost kind of like that Sixth Sense thing where my daughter and wife's with me, but you're not really sure if they're with me or not.
Right. And you also had a chance to do a film with this young lady, Jen Gotson Chandler, in Doonby, which was a pretty darn good film. What was it like working with Jen Gotson?
Well, I have to say, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to work with Jen or, John Schneider was in that,
Yeah.
Ernie Hudson, all those big names were in that. I didn't get a chance to work with them. I was in what they call the flashback scenes for that film.
Okay.
So it was me and another girl, and it's been a while since I've done the film, so forgive me, I can't remember her name. But it was, we were on set, her and I were on set for almost a week shooting that, but it was all flashback scenes, and I never got a chance to work with the big actors.
I tell you, I worked with Jen and loved different. I saw her do something, and you got to work with her one day because she's really a good actress.
I've heard that.
Do a crying scene. I was the bad guy in this scene with her. I watched her before the scene with Anthony Hackett. They prayed themselves up to the ability to cry. I had never. I was so blown away watching that, Jeff, as they got to the point of tears. And then we shot the scene. How were you with the emotional scenes and crying?
I've just got a few things that I don't know, that I just kind of stick in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It could be anywhere from a picture of my kids when they were babies, or picture of my wife. Just maybe I jot down a few things that have in the past helped me get to those emotional places. I got a few songs that my wife makes fun of me for having, that all of a sudden brings a tear to my eye, or all of a sudden makes me cry up every time I hear it. And my wife, it's funny because she always gives me a hard time about that. And I said, but man, she goes, "Are you crying?" I go, no, I'm not crying. Not crying. And so I think Butterfly Kisses, I have to say, I hope that doesn't kill my my manliness, but Butterfly Kisses I do have on my phone, so that's something that gets me to go there when I need to go to those scenes, along with thinking of my kids and just sometimes thinking of things that you hope will never happen, but then you kind of put it into play of if it was to happen, and what you would feel and where you would be at. So it's kind of hard to say exactly what do I do, because every film that I've done that I have to cry, it's just a little bit different.
Yeah, I would imagine it's an amazing ability to see actors actually do that and do it well. Because Jeff, there are actors, and God bless them. I mean, they're really good, but they're not able to get it. You know what I mean? You could see that they're kind of like, trying to make themselves feel a feeling they're not really feeling, and that's fine. You can get through scenes, but there are other actors that just they just have this ability to be in the moment. And kill it, and it's amazing skill. Amazing skill set. This has been a great conversation, Jeff. I want to ask you, as we wind things down, what kind of advice can you leave with young actors and actresses that are out there contemplating perhaps making this a career?
Usually the first thing that I always tell when somebody brings me in to talk to a school, a high school, or talk to if I'm teaching a few students, is, the most important thing is don't lose yourself. Always be yourself.
Yeah.
Make sure you are, make sure that if you do get cast, you're real. You got to be believable, and make sure you don't ever stop taking classes, because I'm 50 years old and I still take classes. I still work on my craft. It's like I said earlier, it's just like being a basketball player or a football player. You've got to work on your craft constantly. You can't just sit around and wait for somebody to bring it to you. But it's a long, hard road. I would never. I was very lucky when I was a kid. My parents have always been great parents, and have never once told me, "You're stupid for doing this. Stop it. You need to do something else. Go be a policeman, or go be a doctor, or whatever." And they've always given me the thumbs up, and have been there for me. I mean, I'm 50 years old and they're still there for me to see all these shows and stuff. So I would tell people, don't just listen to yourself and listen to your heart, because if it's something that you really want to do, take classes, work hard on it, just like you would anything else, and see where it takes you. You never know.
Well, it's the same thing with comedy, and I approach it the same way. I'm always doing, either on Zoom, or because, now that the pandemic is somewhat subsiding, a lot of clubs are opening back up, but, you have to be writing, you have to be video recording. You almost have to be obsessive about it, because the miracle of making it seem like, a casual conversation, winning over a room full of friends, total strangers, half of which, if not 75% of which, you would never talk to. Well, you're going to be my buddy for the next 50 minutes here. So it takes a lot of work and practice, which sometimes I think, helps me with my acting. I should take more classes. I think the comedy helps.
Sure.
Just because you have to be spontaneous all the time and always you're acting, really, you're actually acting. It helps, but no, bottom line, you're right. You got to take this craft seriously. You never get to the point where, I've got it, and, I'm always going to be good at this.
Yeah.
No, it's muscle memory.
I'm learning all the time, and I tell people, when I'm on set in my 30s, 40s, and I'm sure moving forward, I always learn something new. I don't know everything. I've been doing this for a long time, but that doesn't mean I don't learn something new every time I'm on set. And that's another reason you get on set and you learn something for somebody else that you didn't think about it, or maybe a trick or something that they do that you think might work for you. So
yeah,
it changes every time. It changes every audition, changes every film, and so on.
Now, what the pandemic is greatly hamstringing a lot of people in this business, but things are starting to open up a little bit.
Yes.
Do you have anything coming up on the horizon? Any projects?
I don't really have any projects coming up anytime soon. I've got, if people want to follow me on Facebook, I think it's Jeff Fenter. And then if you plug in Jeff Fenter, I think artists will pop up, and that's my acting page. But I've got a web series that me and a good friend of mine, John Pender, have been working on called Making It. And so hopefully we can get started back in that. We had to shut it down this past year with the pandemic, so we all couldn't get together. But I'm hoping here by the end of the year we can maybe start it back up and start working again. We were trying to do a little web series with about 6 or 7 episodes, and so that's kind of the thing I'm working on right now. Plus, I'm working on I got a horror film short script that I've been writing on that I'm trying to finish up to see if I can go somewhere with that.
Okay, awesome stuff. We're going to be looking out for you, Jeff, and your upcoming projects that you're working on. Ladies and one more thing, Jeff. How can fans follow you on social media or by website?
The best way is Facebook. I'd gotten rid of my website a while back, so the best thing is on Facebook. Like I said, when you search, just put in Jeff Fenter, and then my page should pop up. That's probably the best way to follow me. And plus, also, I'm with Linda McAllister Talent. Again, that's Linda McAllister Talent, so they can find me on her website as well as my agent.
Awesome stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with actor Jeff Fenter, and if you are a faith-based film watcher, you've seen him in Vindication in episode 6. If you haven't, check it out. Awesome job. Jeff Fenter on the Maurice Brown Show. A program reminder real quick. On Thursday, we're going to have Michael Monks from the film Church People, directed by Christopher Sean Shaw. And also from that film, next Monday, May 31st, Andriana Manfredi will be on the show, also a part of Church People. And then on Tuesday, June 1st, Stephanie Haff from the film The Wager. And she's also in that film with Cameron Arnett. So, great job, Jeff. According to Venus Monique, she gives you a sign-off of approval. Thanks, Venus, for watching the show.
Thank you.
Awesome. And so, yeah, Jeff Fenter. And listen, if you guys are out there have been watching this interview with Jeff Fenter and you like it, you enjoyed it, like it, and share it, and then subscribe to the Maurice Brown Comedy Channel, and also subscribe to Jeff Fenter's social media platforms on Instagram. Are you on Instagram, Jeff?
I am on Instagram. I'm not as good at it as I am on Facebook. My wife has to remind me to jump on Instagram, but I am on Instagram.
Yeah, it's hard. Jeff, we're 50 and above.
I can't remember all this stuff, man.
That's usually what happens before I grab the microphone and get on stage. I go, how am I going to remember all this? But anyway, it always works out, thank God. But Jeff, thanks a lot for being on the show, man. God bless you. And once again, everybody. Oh, and a program reminder for tonight, 8 o'clock tonight, 7 o'clock Central Time, you can see the Maurice Brown Show with Jeff Fenter on the Creative Motion Network on Roku TV. So be on the lookout for that. And matter of fact, Kevin Collier has reminded me that they're doing some upgrades, so that will probably be on tomorrow on the replay on the Creative Motion Network on Roku TV. So Maurice Brown with Jeff Fenter from Vindication. It's been a blast having Jeff a part of the show. And Jeff, man, thank you so much for being on the show, man. May the peace of the Lord be with you and your family, Jeff. God bless you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Thanks.